Hey people, Strawberin0 here, back at you with another certified classic. Today I'm reacting to Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator review by Ssethtzeentach. This is one of the very rare Seth reviews that I just outright skipped, even though the year ago when it came out I saw it in my subscription box. I never watched it, so this is completely brand spanking new to me. And Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator is a game I have never played. I don't even know what I can expect from the gameplay, but since I saw some stocks and from the name and the fact that Seth is covering it, I'm going to assume that there is some kind of economy in the game based maybe on stocks. Maybe it works like that thing in Cruelty Squad where you had stocks of fish going up and down between missions. The only thing I know about this game is that it was mainly developed, like one of the leads behind the entire project is Warlord Jr. I think that's how his name goes. If not, I'm really sorry for fucking it up. And that guy made some really interesting games over the last couple of years. I know he was also, at least he did something on subliminal. I forgot what the game is called, but it's that really cool ass indie game that you mess with perspective to make objects bigger or smaller to actually do puzzles and transverse in the game. But most recently he became very famous for starting a really bad Twitter thread talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and how people should not expect other RPGs to be like Baldur's Gate 3, and he gave a lot of reasons and he got a lot of hate for stating that opinion. I agree with people who called him out that it's unreasonable that people behind Baldur's Gate 3 are in any way, shape or form different than studio like Blizzard. Blizzard has more employees, has more offices, has more time to develop games, and they will never develop a game of Baldur's Gate 3 quality. Never again, sadly, because you know they're not the Blizzard that we grew up with, sadly. And there is no excuse for these studios. That being said, Warlord obviously only works with small, like, indie teams to develop small indie experiences, and that would be nobody in their right fucking mind would compare Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, for example, to Baldur's Gate 3. So I really don't get why he started that discussion, because there is no coming out looking good from his position of what he wrote in that discussion. I truly don't get that. But given that he worked on some super cool games, I am expecting this, and since Seth is reviewing it, obviously, I am expecting this to be at least very interesting. So let's see what Seth has to say in his review.
Hey people, Seth here. Welcome to a little game I got gifted a couple months prior. I'll be real, I don't pay for games. I just put on my LED cat ear headset and get everybody to be my Discord daddy. This is the best investment in 2022. This doesn't just pay you dividends, it pays you salaries, other people's salaries. Disclaimer, I am in no way affiliated with the Chinese tar factories that make these. That would be lame. On the other hand, if you a Latin American or Middle Eastern militia looking to expand your services, hit me up. 45-second integration doesn't sound like much, but I assure you, that's a lot of stolen AMV footage that I can crossfade into footage of your men wearing turbans. I can also do a full dedicated video where I can quickly summarize the fine points of your proposed benevolent regime, namely the peaceful transition of power. I got given this by a dude who originally I assumed to be deaf, until one day he said he wanted to VC, and I said no, you can't. Your kind doesn't have that capability. Well, now I feel stupid and he thinks I'm racist. Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator is a glimpse into the future where nothing is yours and everything is a commodity, including yourself. That's the joke. It's actually right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the former patriarch of a Rothschild family who received 9 heart transplants during his life really cared to make sure that every single one of them were ethically sourced from the nearest Malaysian child. So, what's the difference? The difference is that in this game, I can publicly list a little boy's heart on the stock exchange so that we can speculate against the value of little Joey's heart. It is a unique, perishable good, which is already hedged against hyperinflation, owing to the fact that there's only one. To begin, you have to start the game. To begin the game, you have to click Start inside the game. After picking a persona, you begin. As stated by the intro, you're above the morality of anybody else. Everybody has them, everybody needs them, and everybody wants them. Which means they need you. You're an organ trader, and this is your universe. Everybody else just lives in it, but you're still at the mercy of someone else. You're not free, you're indentured. Everything you've been given is borrowed. And if you don't play nice and give your handler what he wants, he's going to remind you that everything ever given can be taken away one piece at a time. What's it called when you ask for something? Suggestion. What's it called when you ask for something while pointing a gun at their head? Persuasion. Mentor is going to repeatedly persuade you to choose life over death by forcing you to take non-negotiable contracts which, by their very nature, are designed to make you broke. This is the equivalent of going to a jewelry store with an invoice for $1 in exchange for everything inside. But we'll deal with him later. You begin the game and you'll notice it's very calm and quiet because
Okay, so I expected a little bit more gameplay, to be fair, but not all of games need a ton of gameplay to be fun. We live sorta in this day and age where even something that would be a flash game on Newgrounds can get a full release and be successful. I think one of the most famous examples of that is, most famous example of that would be Five Nights at Freddy's, I guess. But I wanna say even less gameplay than that, and that would be Papers, Please, where, there are sprites. Many of them are not unique. Obviously, there are animations, there is a story with multiple endings. But that game has been in the making for a minute from what I remember back in the day. But yeah, it was basically a guy comes up to you and you are just fiddling around with his passport trying to find things. And it was a very interesting idea, so you don't really need, planning routes between planets, flying your ship, sourcing organs to speculate with them on a market, so... Don't know if it's a game I would personally get into, but we don't. It's just a feeling from what I've seen so far. Maybe there is more to it. There is a story, at least, a simple one so far, but the game also looks very fucking interesting, by the way. I am very much digging the retro future aesthetic with the green scan lines. Back when people imagined virtual reality will look like this piece of fucking garbage.
Because that's not the game. When you push that red button, the market opens up for exactly 2 minutes. In that time, you gotta go fast and you gotta go hard. 120 seconds of pure stress. That's the game. But this is only the start. Early on, contracts are your bread and butter. You take them, you fulfill their requirements, and you get paid. With payment comes money. With reliability comes reputation. With reputation comes problems. Because the bigger you get, the more they start to notice. Namely, everyone else. They're smarter.
Why is that one just a dog? What the fuck?
And faster than you. They're unpredictable, bipolar, and obsessed. But most of all, they're richer than you. Imagine a teenage girl whose bloodstream is nothing but cocaine and benzos, armed with a single corporate credit card which has an overdraft of 700 trillion. This is your competition. Good
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily worry about competition loaded up on Xanax. They wouldn't make the most rational decisions, to be fair. But I get it. It's just supposed to be a little bit of a funny, so
luck.
I
If you're too slow,
shouldn't
they're
dig
going to
that
take
deep
it. If
into
you're too
that.
fast, you'll buy the wrong piece because they bought something a millisecond earlier, shifting the position of each item. If they need it, they'll take it. If you need it, they'll take it anyway just to spite you. So
Okay, the fact that they can buy something and it shifts the balance up and down, that is an amazing fucking feature. Holy goddamn, that is actually something that could happen to you in real life if there was like bidding of this kind. That's really cool, the way rival traders are incorporated into the game. Honestly brings me back to the days of when I was doing trading in Team Fortress 2. I stumbled across a really good deal on one of the third-party websites that allowed you to post offers. I would message the guy, I would tell him, yeah, I wanna do the trade, let's go. And he was like, oh, sorry, I just sold the item to another guy. And I would ask him for that guy's profile. Maybe he's one of my friends and I will renegotiate with him. Little did he know, I was making a fucking list of all the people who outbid me, and the overlap in those cases when somebody beat me by like 3 seconds, the same names always came up. I literally at one point was launching trade wars with some fucking randos from Steam just because they were going for the same kinds of hat as me. Shit was crazy. And that was so dumb because those were pennies. I mean, to be fair, I was making money as a goddamn fucking child without a job, and I was having fun doing it, so I didn't mind. But at the moment, I was treating it so seriously, and it's so goofy looking back at it.
how are you meant to survive? At the start, you get offered a little training course on high-speed organ trading. I sincerely recommend you take this. Is there a reward at the end? A little tangible reward for my simplified Cumur erectus brain? No, you learn how to read barcodes. Every organ on the exchange has a serial number. This tells you everything about the organ in the shortest span of time. I'll break this down block by block. Organ code, size, condition, blood type, rarity, and special properties. Why do these matter? Because as you get more reputation, your clients get more demanding.
I would like to clutch a warm stomach between my fingers. Need another one for a friend. What the fuck?
It's no longer a stomach, it's a large stomach. It's no longer any pair of lungs, it's a pair with the same AB negative blood type. And I will not settle for a shitty thyroid. Get me one that's absolutely perfect, pristine. Get me that 1 in a million mythical thyroid that shoots out thyroxine so fast you're gonna live at like 2 times playback speed until your heart explodes. Not like I care, I got a replacement waiting. It's inside somebody else. Now that you can read, you can trade real fast. It's a market as diverse as your clientele. Contracts include, but not limited to, medical supplies, ship repair, warlord training. I saw some fucked up shit and popped my eyes. I need a replacement. I am currently depressed. I need a new brain. My favorite VTuber told me to get in on this pump and dump. I can't lose. Would you be interested in resurrecting a dead god and ending life in this universe as we know it? Please let me know. I can't pay very much. Necromancy work is not unionized. It's been a subject of union busting for years now. Your options are plentiful. Now, we have to talk about the soundtrack, because it's the best soundtrack I've ever heard. Because it's not just a soundtrack, it's layered like a cake. Every single track is layered by the menu you're currently on. So, in the process of high-speed organ transfer, you automatically create a melody just by trading. Due to the nature of a soundtrack, it doesn't actually exist, but the guy who made it remixed the whole thing into an experimental companion soundtrack.
That's so cool that you create the music almost like yourself in tune to the gameplay. That is fucking amazing.
I first recommend you play the game and then give it a listen. I don't have a fitting modern word for this, so I asked everybody younger for an appropriate expression I could use to convey my enthusiasm for the music. Here goes. It's bussin'. I really like it. I'll put a link in the description below. Later on, you get access to organ stocks. Because, really, why even buy organs when you can simply speculate? It's a perfect simulation of stock investment. Because markets don't make sense. There are no rules to the organ exchange. But there is one principle which I've taken directly from Rothschild himself. Be greedy when others are cautious. Be cautious when others are greedy. To put it simply, everything look a little too good? Sell that shit, homie. Market correction is coming. And once it does, buy the dip and repeat until you become a multimillionaire. And then, just like me, you're gonna be fined several times in a row on fraudulent charges by corrupt officials and lose the game. I'm not even joking. Blink twice and it's game over. That's how quickly it all goes. That's the ADHD. Not even joking.
What? Credits have been withdrawn from your account to pay for lawsuit settlements equivalent to your status. Holy shit, this is too real. If people in charge fucking you over for tax purposes were actually honest with you, you would see this message.
Blink twice and it's game over. That's how quickly it all goes. That's the ADHD experience of life every day. Wake up, scream, and die. Except here it's a lot more dramatic, and I'm currently competing for kidneys with my arch nemesis, who is, of course, a dog. So, I don't really know where to take this metaphor. Eventually, you're also going to get a better cargo hold. You'll figure this out on your own, but essentially, organs interact with other organs. Your cargo hold is alive. It's an inverted body you can graft organs to. I see nothing wrong about this. So, instead of relying exclusively on contracts, you could also buy a high-value organ like an appendix or a pharaoh-gut in very poor condition for very little money. Strap them to a bunch of healthy hearts, pump them full of blood, and flip the newly rejuvenated meat for massive profit. Finally, some contracts are special. You'll recognize them by the border. Pursuing them leads to different endings. Remember our handler? Well, eventually someone takes notice and offers to take the toxicity out of your relationship by luring Mentor out into the open and turning him into a flesh painting that cannot die. That's a good ending, by the way. One of the bad endings is when you actually try to help. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but here's a hint. One of the tracks in this game is called A Galaxy of Children Who've Only Seen Red. There's a bunch of endings, and I think there's 10 in total. The current copy might have less, but I'm playing an early test build because I have a profound relationship with a lord, or because I talked to the developer. The lord,
There he is.
simply watch a relationship with a lord, or
Yeah, there he is, Strawberin0 Jr. I sent the 50,000 UGX to your account. Please don't screenshot this combo, please. Wanna buy the mangled remains of your former crewmates? Among Us game crosses over with Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator in the Bean Bone update. I didn't want to sound insane and over-radiated with shitty internet culture, but when I saw the little legs with a bone sticking out, I was like, Amogus! That's Amogus! And I was like, I'm gonna sound a little bit slow if I say that out loud. So I shouldn't say it, but it was legitimate crossover with Among Us. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
because I talked to the developer. The Lord, he simply watches as I trip myself repeatedly and blame everybody else. P.S. If you're slow and decrepit and past your prime, which for a man is about 14 years of age, there is an accessibility option to make the game slower. Now, if he only added hotkeys for accepting, fulfilling, and deleting contracts, my life would still be painful, but slightly easier. I actually talked to him about this, and unfortunately, it can't be done that easily. Just like Super Mario 64 was originally going to release with pregnancy mode enabled, at the end of the day, it's a limitation of the engine. Final score. I give Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator an impractical out of 10. I love this game, but classic organ transplantation will never be a viable method of long-term organ replacement. I'm sorry, but that's an immunological reality, and tissue from anyone else, unless they're an identical twin, will eventually result in tissue rejection. Yes, I'm aware we can take immunosuppressants so we can kill them with a tumor instead. The only real way forward is understanding stem cell differentiation to grow your own tissue that will not be rejected. Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. There's a reason
I guess he was researching this topic. Why? sometimes we have to come to our own conclusions.
I like it so much because it's the perfect human duality. You get what you give. You sell pieces of everybody else, but the taller you stand, the harder you fall. And one day, it's all gonna come crashing down. You're gonna lose your money. You're gonna lose your life.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And one day, it's all gonna come crashing down. You're gonna lose your money, you're gonna lose your life, and when you're dead, they're gonna chop you up and sell your pieces. Because in this case, the sum of the parts really is greater than the whole. Ultimately, the organ trader really is selling one thing: himself. It's a nice little game. It's not too long, but that's really a matter of perspective. You don't know how short your life is. I thoroughly recommend it. Oh yeah, by the way, you can mod this game. I messed around and it's pretty easy to add new organs. Ironically, the first organ I added is usually the first to be taken away.
Man, don't do the snip to your children. It's not okay. As you can see with Seth, they will grow up obsessed with it. That's probably why he was researching the cellular regeneration and transplants. He probably yearns for a piece of himself he lost, sadly. Truly a tragic tale. Don't circumcise your children, for fuck's sakes. It's sickening. It's just wrong.
Where can I buy this game? Everywhere. It's on every platform, on every store, except the Chinese store. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, there's a discount on Steam. Of course, you can also get a 100% discount, depending on your life circumstance. I even recommend it. And we both know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hello guys.
Robbing an ATM at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, just pick a very backwards little town where nobody has done it in a long time. Just read the newspapers or some archive or something to double check, because there will be absolutely no police presence. Then you can just use a car winch to reel it back in and score that cash. Also remember to check, you can dig up or just, do some surveillance yourself when it will be emptied. Of course, all of this is a little bit of a joke, I totally do not condone robbing ATMs, which is a victimless crime, because the only victim is the bank. Not even them, because the money is insured anyway, so they will get it back. And obviously you are not stealing from actual people with a pulse. So I'm with Seth on this one. I mean, I don't, everything I say is a work of fiction. Therefore, it cannot be upheld against me in a court of law. Oh, Mandalore with the good ending. Yeah, then I guess that was pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.